Hello, hello, friends. Good day to you. Today is February 13th, 2019. This is Molly McCord, and thank you for joining me as we talk about the intuitive astrology and energies of right now and in the week. Thank you for gathering here. It is always a joy to connect with you, whether you listen on Blog Talk Radio, Apple iTunes, Stitcher, or YouTube. It's great to connect with you across all these platforms. For those of you who are interested in listening to this live podcast, it is live as a radio show at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, and then 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. So you can listen live at blogtalkradio.com/Molly McCord. So in today's show, we have a lot to cover, including a story time about Mercury and Pisces. It's going to be quite an interesting next few months with Mercury and Pisces. So we're going to go into that energy and just have a heads up about what might be going on, what you might be feeling, and how to just keep floating and trusting and moving through these energies. Because Mercury will spend just about 10 weeks in Pisces. So officially entered Pisces on February 10th and stays in Pisces until April 18th. So we will do a story time about that journey to help to understand what is moving through us and what's coming through us. I also wanted to talk with you a bit about Valentine's Day and the energy of Valentine's Day, because it is when the sun is in Aquarius, and that's about universal love. That's about the giving energy. It's like when you were perhaps in elementary school or grade school and you would go to class and give all of your friends a Valentine's Day card. That's the spirit of Valentine's Day astrologically, because of how Aquarius energy is about giving, contributing, appreciating people that you connect with and recognizing them. It's not the emotional, personal, passionate love that that Valentine's Day has kind of morphed into. Astrologically, it's about what you give to other people, the love you give, what you put out, and how you recognize that in yourself and how you share it with others. If Valentine's Day fell under the astrological sign of Leo, then it would be more about the romantic, passionate, receiving energy. But it's under Aquarius. And so look at what you can give that removes your expectations, easier said than done, but truly, what can you give to other people so they feel loved? That's the spirit of it when the sun is in Aquarius. And then we also have, during Valentine's Day, the moon will be in Gemini, opposing Jupiter in Sagittarius. Wow. So lots of options, liking choices, maybe feeling a bit overwhelmed, too, if it's a busy day. But we do have Venus in Capricorn approaching a conjunction to Saturn. So Venus is at 12 degrees, Saturn is at 16 degrees, and that can be, the reality check is coming in, kind of an energy, and how important is this to me? There's a seriousness with Venus in Capricorn, especially as she's about to make a conjunction to Saturn. So there's a sense of, what do I really want to do with my energy? And I feel like it's not a lovey-dovey Valentine's Day energy this year, because Venus in Capricorn conjunct Saturn is much more, I always say refined, but she's elegant, she's dignified, she's not emotional, she's actually the teacher. She's kind of that person in charge, who's like watching everybody else as an observer. But there's an energy there of seriousness, of course. And then Mars is now in Taurus as of February 14th. And that is actually quite a physical sign, because Mars is the body and Taurus is about the physical pleasures of the body. So that is a little bit more amorous energy. But in general, the Valentine's Day energy here, depending how this shows up in your chart, you could feel it in a few different ways. The sun is at 25 degrees of Aquarius. So every time the sun is at this point in your chart, this is how you experience the Valentine's Day experience, if you will. So it's quite an interesting holiday this year. Doesn't feel as lovey-dovey, maybe kind of busy and scattered, but hopefully you can focus on the giving of the love, and that would feel really satisfying too. So let's see here. I'm looking at what we have going on this week, and we know that the sun is finishing up its journey through Aquarius. And Aquarius is a fixed sign, and that means in terms of the astrological calendar, every fixed sign is the heart of a season. So before Aquarius, we had Capricorn, and Capricorn began the winter season here in the Northern Hemisphere. So it's the beginning of winter. Then we move to Aquarius, which is the depths of winter. And the United States and, of course, Canada, you've really been getting it with the snow and ice and storms. It's been an intense winter. And Aquarius is about really being in it. And so when Aquarius season switches over to Pisces, well, Pisces is a mutable sign. And that's when we prepare for spring, which is at the spring equinox and the beginning of Aries season, which is usually around April 20th and 21st. So we're really in winter in Aquarius here in the Northern Hemisphere. And in the Southern Hemisphere, of course, is the opposite, where you're really then in summer, and it's the depths of summer, it's the intensity. The fixed signs are about stability. And so there's a stability of this is really winter or this is really summer. It's that feeling of I'm really experiencing this season. Then we prepare to move to Pisces, which is where the snow and ice of Aquarius season starts to thaw, starts to melt. And Pisces is a water sign, right? So the rivers start flowing. The rivers are no longer solid ice. There's more movement. So Pisces brings in that movement as we clear out winter to prepare for spring. So that's a bit what's happening as we move through February is that, okay, I'm really in it. I'm really feeling this intensity, which is true for every fixed sign. But then after that, it's a mutable sign that allows the flows and the changes and things to flush out and move through. So it's good to know how these cycles all show up. It makes it more interesting as well when you connect them to astrology to see how the energy of astrology is showing up through the seasons. So the sun is at 24 degrees Aquarius as I do this show. And in the next week, it's going to finish up its time and move into Pisces. The sun officially enters Pisces February 18th at 6:03 p.m. Eastern Time, so about 5 days left of Aquarius season. And before that, we have some big energies happening. And in fact, one of the big energies is happening right now, which is Mars in Aries is conjunct Uranus in Aries. And before the sun leaves Aquarius, the sun is going to make a sextile to Uranus in Aries. This is at the 29 degrees of Aries. So I want to talk about this because I think this is important to understand what's happening, like to put some pieces together. So the 29 degrees of Aries is the very last part of Aries, right? It's the very last degree, and Uranus has been going back and forth over this point since last year. And what it's doing at this critical degree, this completion degree, is it's really giving you these truer downloads and reminders of who you are. Because in Aries, it's our first sense of self. Aries is an initiating energy that is the beginning. And so it can be related to a primal instinct, a survival need, the desire to go for it, the desire to really be you and to follow the next dream. There's a sense of something new is beginning. Uranus started in Aries in 2010. So, all this decade, new pieces of you have been forming and coming in. And it's probably been a roller coaster at times. It's been unexpected. It can be things breaking free, breaking out. Uranus is about liberation and freedom. It's also been the rise of entrepreneurship and the freedom to do things your way in work, in business. Uranus is about the awakening energies, the spiritual awakenings, people waking up to who they really are and saying, I'm not that, I was never this, I get it more about who I am, or at least I've cleared the slate and now I want to know more about who I really am. So this Uranus in Aries since 2010 has been working with all of us in an area of our chart to show us more about ourselves in a way that can be very simplistic because it's a beginning point. And it's a bit like you start with basics and you build from there. So the Uranus energy in Aries is asking you to honor what you know about yourself now. And it is about you. And it needs to be about you because that's where your power is. And so at first it can feel selfish, or you can feel uncomfortable, or you can think, am I being too focused on myself? But this is an outer planet moving through Aries saying, come back to you. Start here. Start fresh with what you want in life based on who you really are. And so as Uranus finishes up here at 29 degrees of Aries, you could probably look back at all the outfits you wore through your life, at all the roles you played, at all the things you thought were you, and you could have like this trail of clothes behind you, right? Things that you're like, that's not me, I would never wear that again, that's not even cute anymore, what was I thinking? You know, we have a sense of the cleansing of self. And you're supposed to feel it in a way that reminds you who you are. I mean it in a way that's very like motivating, uplifting. The place of like a pure potential of where's this going to go now that I'm clear about who I am. So Uranus moves back into Taurus March 6, 7, and will stay there until 2027. And this is its last hurrah right now in Aries. And so that's significant. But then you have Mars coming through. Anything you've denied in yourself, anything you've tried to not see, anything you've held back, the truth of who you are, well, this Mars coming through today, in fact, is a trigger. And you could feel an anger or you could feel an inspiration. The Mars energy is about your ego, and that can be the healthy ego saying, I have to be myself. And I can't give any more Fs. I can't hold back. I can't. It's kind of this impatience with, it's like, get on with it. Like, let's get on with it now. I'm ready for this next chapter now. And so the Aries energy lives in the now, and that's why the impatience is there. But there is something here that you're meant to integrate. And the integration is between the Uranus in Aries cosmic energy and the Mars in Aries physical self. So it's an integration of your cosmic, universal brilliance and feeling that your body is really strong enough and healthy enough to own it. This is an ownership energy. And in a healthy way, it's inspiring and it propels you forward. In an unconscious way, you're angry or pissed off or having something rise up within you that you don't know how to manage. So we're looking at energies right now that are saying, you know what you've been through this past decade, and the Uranus energy is saying, remember who you are, and allow that to be something that gives you confidence. It's supposed to be confidence building. So then we're also going to have the Sun in Aquarius sextile Uranus on February 17th, 18th. So in a few days, 17th and 18th, depends on your time zone and location. And the Sun in Aquarius, being an air sign, brings in some new ways of working with this concept of self, of what it means to be you, and how to be strong in your individuality, how to be very clear in how your energy contributes to the whole. It can also bring in new ideas. It's a time of connection too, potentially with other people, whether that's conversations, communications. Because it's an air sign, it can bring in new ideas around how to use this energy. But it can also just bring in a sense of support, that you feel like, yeah, it's okay, and it's in fact needed to really honor everything I've learned about myself. I can't go backwards. I wouldn't want to anyways. And I see other people doing it. Because Aquarius likes the tribe, and it likes to see, how others are using the energies or what they're doing. And that can be very affirming to keep going your own way. This is also a breakout energy, a break-free energy. Again, you could feel it as a liberation from something. Even if something's been stuck in your head, stuck in the body, stuck in anywhere in your energy, it can feel invigorating when the Sun in Aquarius sextiles Uranus in Aries at 29 degrees. And there is support to keep going forward and to know that some good things are coming. Some good things are coming next. So that's significant. This dance with Uranus by Mars and the Sun, which together are masculine energies. Mars and the Sun are both associated with masculine energies. And so it's returning us even to a place of that healthy ego, that healthy sense of self, that ability to believe in yourself, and the confidence building that can come from it. So we're living in quite a dynamic energy time, and maybe you're feeling it. In fact, I feel that many of us have been feeling, it's like tremors, vibrations, things shifting in the ethers. I think it's been in effect for a while, actually, and it's because of these deep changes that are happening in the collective, in institutions, in governments, in ourselves. It isn't simply anger or even an emotional reaction. I feel like there's energetics at play right now that we're sensing on like a primal level, because there's some things about our human programming that's primal, and that's our survival, that's our safety, that's our need for food, water, shelter. It's something shifting that we're feeling, and it's this giant place of uncertainty because of how we can see and sense this monumental change that's underway. And we talk about it with the Saturn and Pluto conjunction in 2020. In early next decade, we also have the Pluto return for the United States, which is associated with the American Revolution. We have the uncertainty with Brexit, the EU. There's like these bigger energies that, even though they're quote-unquote out there, we feel it. We feel that there's a bigger energy coming through. We can feel it. And, of course, there's many other examples of this, too, in how the world's energies are changing over. And on one hand, it's wildly exciting because of how the undoing and collapse of certain structures are needed for humanity, for the betterment of humanity. But there's also this sense of what's coming next. Do you know what I mean? Like, when's the next shoe going to drop? And how many shoes are there? Like, all these shoes keep dropping. So there's an energy of we're feeling it. And I feel like this is contributing to people's anxiety, like a low-level anxiety, depression. It feels like something that we're each kind of picking up or tuning into. And what I would suggest doing is that if you're feeling this, which I think gets really heightened during Aquarius season and when we have strong Uranus energies, such as right now, because our antennas are picking up other energies that are outside of the earthly realm, and we're picking up other things that maybe we don't know how to fit into the puzzle. And it's like this sense of, I don't know what to do with all this energy. So you might have to do more grounding practices regularly, just regularly. And you want to have some management tools, some energy management tools that support how it's coming up for you, how the energy is being felt, and how to move through it, and to remember that you are always in charge of your energy. It could be, guided meditations and anything that calm the mind, but I'm feeling like it's a deeper soul. It's like a soul space, a soul safety blanket, a sense of reminding yourself you came here for this. Like, you wanted to contribute. You wanted to be a part of where humanity is going and where it's growing, and that there were reasons why you, as a soul, chose to be in this human body at this time, as have billions of other people. So I feel like it's actually a soul-level comfort that will relax any of these things that you're feeling, like, again, the tremors or the energy in the ether. It will just help calm it down, and more importantly, return you to your power, and return you to your choices, and return you to the fact that you'll figure things out for yourself. You'll know you have what you need. It's like there's a sense of what brings you mental comfort and emotional stability. That would be important right now, very important right now, because we're building up to a very big summer, and there's more shoes are going to be dropping, and there's going to be more things coming out and coming forward, and it can feel like the boat is rocking. The boat is rocking, but it's also meant to go to a higher shore. And part of awakening and part of ascension is these energy turnovers and how we ride them and how we keep spiraling up. So this is an important thing right now as we move through the rest of Aquarius season and then begin to tap into the Pisces energy and Pisces season. So Pisces is going to be a longer season because of this Mercury retrograde in Pisces, and it's meant to be a way to keep going higher. Okay, Pisces can take us higher when you're on that spiral, if you will, when you're in that place of, I want to understand, I want to release, I want to grow from this, I want to forgive, I want to let this karma be complete, I want things to be peaceful. Like when your intention really encompasses the higher Pisces energies, it spirals you up, and that means there's healing. There is healing to be done, but when that is the intention, it helps your heart, it helps your trust in what you can't see, it helps you to release your grasp or your grip on one form so that another form can emerge at a later date. So the Pisces energy reminds us that unconditional love is everywhere, but is it within you? And is it being applied to you? I'm getting the image of somebody applying sunscreen. It's like, are you applying unconditional love on your skin? Are you giving it to yourself as needed? And what that means, so we can say unconditional love, what that means is that it's a healthy sense of confidence and empathy for who you are. And that, yeah, we have imperfections, and yeah, we mess up, and sure, we don't get things right, or we make stupid choices, or we go in a different direction. And it's like, from a spiritual perspective, it's all good. That's okay. I mean, that's just part of this experience. And so you have to find a way to come back and be forgiving of yourself and say, okay, I did the best I could, and I know next time I've learned from this. I'm not going to do this mistake again. I'm going to really make the most of what I can do right now. Unconditional love brings you back to your current choices. And what can you choose right now that's in alignment with what you want and your intentions and where you're going? Unconditional love allows you to accept your own humanness and what we perceive as mistakes or what we perceive as mess-ups, and gives you that ability to be kind to yourself. I was doing my best. I didn't realize I did this. I didn't realize I hurt somebody. I didn't realize I affected others this way. On and on this can go. But when you're aware of this in yourself, and you know your own internal messaging, your internal messaging includes this type of self-acceptance, you'll move through things faster. You won't spin as long, ideally, but you'll be able to move through it faster. And so it's very internal, but then that's the energy, of course, you exude and you share in the world, and you tell friends about, or you say in conversation, or you offer a perspective that can help another person. So this ability to practice unconditional love with self and to be forgiving, compassionate, and kind to yourself is part of this Pisces season that we're entering. So let me start with our story time here about Mercury now in Pisces. And as I do this show, Mercury is at 6 degrees of Pisces. And we'll go all the way to 29 degrees of Pisces until March 5th, and we'll station retrograde and go back to 16 degrees of Pisces, which is exactly where Neptune is. And so Mercury is going to be conjunct Neptune for nearly 10 days. Mercury in Pisces will be conjunct Neptune at 16 and 17 degrees from March 24th to April 4th. So there's so much, it's like a double Pisces energy here. And then the sun will be in Pisces. There's going to be a lot of Pisces, okay? So just to give you a heads up of how this unfolds. So let's talk about Mercury in this story time and his journey in Pisces. Now, Mercury is typically the fastest moving planet, and Mercury is the messenger. And so I typically visualize the energy as a masculine, although Mercury is actually known as duality and can embody both energies of masculine and feminine. But for our story purposes, I'm going to say he's a man. And he's very tall and athletic and fast and a runner. And so he got to the end of Aquarius where he was just alive and buzzing. And it's like he got to the end of the road, and he stepped in to the Pisces energy, and it was like all of a sudden you're walking along and there is all this fog. And he's walking on the road, and the road turns to gravel, and all of a sudden he's walking to a lake, or what he thinks is a lake. And what is there on the shore but the boat that Mars used when Mars was in Pisces? So Mercury sees there's nowhere else to go except to get into this boat. So he gets into the boat, and because he's used to moving and being in motion, he's not able to slow down just yet. So he starts to paddle, he starts to try and make things happen because he's still in this first decan of Pisces, which is an adjustment into the energy. It's a new energy of how do I exist in Pisces? This is different, and I don't know what to do. And so at first, he starts to paddle really fast, and it does nothing because the ocean is moving at its own pace. Its own waves are moving this boat. So Mercury realizes he can't do anything with his own arms, and he's frustrated, and he just throws down the paddle and gives up. And he doesn't know what to do with himself because he's used to being in motion. And here he has to just surrender. And Mars is actually Mercury's older brother. And so he follows his older brother. And he's like, well, I guess what I'll do is nothing. And I'm going to relax back into this boat and stare up at the stars and the sky and the clouds, because now the fog is parted. And now he sees that he's floating on this open ocean with nothing, and it's calm, and it almost has this energy of silence. And that's disturbing to Mercury because he's a chatterbox and he has a very busy mind, and he wants to be thinking and solving and working things through and writing down his ideas and not missing a detail. And he's on this boat. There's no pens. There's no one to have a conversation with. He's alone with himself. And he's alone with his own mind, but he feels like he can't focus. And Mercury in Pisces is where things get blurry. The details aren't always clear, or we read one detail and then we have to read it again to make sure we have it correctly. So Mercury in Pisces is floating and doesn't know what to do with his mind until he just focuses on a single cloud. And he puts his energy on that cloud, and it allows him to basically tune out and to basically meditate on the cloud and to meditate and listen to the ocean and listen to the waves and basically dissolve his mind, dissolve his will, dissolve his ideas into nothingness, into the cloud, into the ocean. So he's floating along, and he sits up a few times to look overboard, look over at the shore. And when he's at 16 degrees of Pisces on February 20th, he sextiles Saturn in Capricorn, and he realizes there's land over there. Oh, there's a place I could go. I'm not just alone. But he doesn't have control. He doesn't have control over the boat, but he can focus on a piece of land that's on the horizon to move towards. He's floating, he's moving, and a few days later, when he's at 22 degrees of Pisces, he then sextiles Pluto at 22 degrees of Capricorn. And this energy shows up it shows up in a way that feels a little disturbing at first. It's almost like, is there a storm coming? No, it's not. I'm just needing to let go of my fears. Because Mercury in Pisces is afraid he'll never land anywhere. He's afraid he doesn't know what to do with his mind, with his ideas, with what's happening next. And so he meets up with his fears as a storm off in the distance. And he realizes, no, I'm going to be okay. And even if there is a storm, I can handle it. And even if something comes through, I'll be okay. So he gets a strengthening here when he makes this first sextile to Pluto in Capricorn on the 24th of February. Now, I forgot to mention that the same day that he sees that Saturn in Capricorn landmass, he sees it, and then Neptune energy comes in again. The Neptune fog comes in, and it's like it takes away that landmass. It takes away what he thought he could achieve, because Mercury is going to be conjunct Neptune in a way that makes what we want unclear, because we think we have it, but we're meant to go higher. It's meant to go above the clouds, above the fog, above the mind, into the spiritual purpose and the spiritual healing of what's moving through your mind. Okay, so it's very much this continual release. And it's like throwing ideas overboard and throwing the fears overboard and surrendering and surrendering and surrendering. You're clearing out your mind. Maybe you want to envision Marie Kondo helping you clear out your brain. If it doesn't bring you joy when you hold it or when you think of it, get rid of it. So that's part of this Mercury in Pisces, is that you're clearing out the limited perspectives or anything that's done, expired. You're letting it go. So Mercury, he stays in this boat, he sails on, and then he gets to 29 degrees of Pisces. And he is at 29 degrees of Pisces starting March 3rd until March 8th. And when he gets to 29 degrees, he's going to station retrograde on March 5th. And he's basically sitting in the territory that was just released by Chiron. So Mercury has now rolled in to your Chiron journey. And Mercury conjunct this point in your chart is bringing you a new way to look at what you've been healing in Chiron, as Chiron was here at 29 degrees of Pisces, and Mercury is helping you move through the Chiron story. Mercury is meant to help you see it in a different way. So on March 5th, when Mercury stations retrograde at 29 Pisces, he realizes that his little boat is coming up to a dock. There's a little pier. There's a dock. He's like, I could get off here. I'm going to get out of this boat and get on some terra firma. He jumps out, walks on the dock, keeps moving along the shore, and comes to a street. And he looks around, and he's hearing something in the distance. And what he's hearing is music and laughter and fun. He's like, where am I? Out of nowhere, this place emerged. What is this place? It is Key West. Mercury arrives at Key West, which is very Pisces, with the island energy. It's an island. It's surrounded by the ocean. It is a place of escapism and fun and music and drinks. It is about leaving the cares of the real world behind and having fun. And that is part of the Pisces energy too, is how we want to escape reality. and we just want to listen to Jimmy Buffett, drink the margaritas, and have a dance party. All Pisces energies. So Mercury arrives in Key West, and he's happy. He's happy to be on land and to walk around and to check things out. And so during his retrograde, he starts walking through Key West from March 5th until March 28th. And as he does so, there's openings in his mind that have released anxiety, released worries, released concern about the future, because Pisces can be very in the moment. It's like, don't worry about your bills, just buy another round of drink for the bars. Pisces is very much about, let's just live for today. And so he's in this energy of, I'm just going to live in the present moment every day. And what does that do for me? What does that mean? What do I realize? What do I understand about my life? What do I understand about what's complete for me? What am I ready to let go of and surrender? And so as Mercury moves retrograde, he again comes in contact with Pluto at 22 degrees of Capricorn on March 17th, and also the strong energy of Saturn and Neptune. So he meets up with Saturn at 19 degrees. Saturn's now at 19 degrees in March, and that happens on the 20th. So he comes back to get some reality checks with Saturn and Capricorn, and it's about how he's using his time, how he's using his day. Are you really doing the work? Are you really working on healing this part of yourself? Because you are rewriting this story. You're understanding more information. You're understanding something new. And yeah, part of you just wants to look at the art galleries and enjoy Key West. But when Saturn in Capricorn shows up, it reminds you to stay on task. Keep doing this work. Keep understanding the bigger picture of how you're maturing through this Pisces energy. And then when Pluto comes through again, it's like another impending storm where you might want to grab the umbrella, or there's something like the skies darken, and then it never happens because it's a sextile, and so Pluto moves along, but it brings Mercury back to, I have to take this seriously, and I need to understand the deeper energies that are working with me at a soul level. What was I not acknowledging before? What was I moving too quickly through? What did I not understand at my own human level? Or rather, what did I just take a passing glance at? But these sextiles to Pluto are saying, this is important because it's part of what you're powerfully changing. You're transforming your perspective around a story. You're transforming a part of this healing energy into something really gorgeous. So Mercury wants to escape and really live the Key West life, but at some point he gets these reality checks that I have to stay on task, I have to keep doing this work, I have to be very mindful of these bigger messages that I can't possibly ignore. No matter how loud the reggae band is playing, I have to understand that something within me is changing permanently. And I'm probably not going to see things the same way ever again. This is because Pluto is about things changing permanently, but also Mercury and Pisces is endings. It's like a part of your mental perceptions is evolving. And you're meant to see it as something powerful that you didn't see before. You didn't see before. So then Mercury gets to 16 degrees of Pisces again, March 25th until April 2nd. So a good week. He's hanging out at 16 degrees of Pisces, and in our story, that's going to be a bar in Key West called 16 Degrees, and Neptune walks in. The fog. Because in our other stories, we talked about how Neptune is the mermaid, right? So, of course, in this story, the bar, 16 Degrees, is sitting on the ocean, and Mercury is mesmerized by the ocean, by oneness, by everything in the cosmos, by how it's all working together and there's harmony and how there's beauty around us, and just, staring at the ocean waves and looking up at the limitless sky. It's like there's a sense of, I am a part of all of this. I am a part of all of this. And when I'm too focused on my own mind, my own worries, my own daily tasks, I lose sight of how I'm always connected to this grand, beautiful world. And so when he's gazing off, he then sees that mermaid, the Neptune mermaid, dancing, and he, of course, thinks it's an illusion, because Pisces is about illusions, and so it doesn't look real. He thinks he's imagining it. But it gives him a new sense of inspiration. It gives him an understanding that maybe at times it's better to question what is real and what's not. And maybe everything's real. Maybe nothing's real. And maybe it's okay to not latch on to any one definition. So this Mercury in Pisces, as he's sitting at the 16 Degrees bar, he's just letting it all go. And it's like so much in his mind has been cleansed. And he feels it. And he feels it mentally. He probably feels it somewhere in his body. He just feels like he's different. And he wants to release. And he starts writing down new soul contracts. And he starts forgiving current soul contracts. And he starts forgiving all people. And so he grabs, as many napkins as he can, and he's just writing out all these forgiveness and compassion letters, and he wants to send them to everybody because he just wants things to be complete. He wants the energy to feel harmonious again. When he's in this energy of everything is one, he just wants these soul contracts to be done for everyone's best and highest good. So Mercury spends a good week at that 16 Degrees bar, hanging out with the mermaid. The fog rolls in, the fog rolls out, and he's just feeling like, I'm being cleansed, I'm being released. And then he finally leaves on April 2nd, and he's still conjunct Neptune at 17 degrees. At 17 degrees of Pisces for 2 days, he's still in this fog, and he's still in this place of tapping into forgiveness and compassion. It's very imaginative. It's very creative. It's an energy where you just want to sleep or you don't want to do anything. Maybe your mind, it can't handle details. It doesn't want to deal with details. It's a time when you realize how it's better to not be in the world at times. It's better to just be in other places and other experiences and to live in that creative space. So Mercury is now moving forward. This is the first week in April, and now he's moving on, and he's ready to really be done with these soul contracts. And I feel like he walks down Key West, Main Street there, and he's just feeling a new type of peace. And he doesn't want to even hang out with other people. He wants to be alone. Part of Pisces is the desire to be by yourself, to be introverted, to just listen to your own messages. And he's feeling strong and calm in that because he let go of those soul contracts. He let go of the ways that his mind was trying to do too much. And he's feeling a new peace. And then by the time he meets up again with Saturn at 20 degrees of Capricorn. Now they're both at 20 degrees on April 8th. Mercury's feeling recognized by Saturn for what he's done, and he's feeling proud of himself and strong, and I'm definitely done. And Saturn, who is our Gandalf, recognizes that and tells him, you've done well. You did a great job with this cycle. You did a great job with this opportunity to end some things that no longer serve you. Then he moves on, and a few days later, he's at 23 degrees, and that's where he meets up with Pluto, who, again, doesn't bring a storm because it's a sextile, but he gives this download of a new sense of self, a new sense of you have obtained something deeper in your soul's growth because of what you've released, because of what you're done with. So Mercury also feels that, and he's moved by it. He's really moved by this sense of, I've moved through some powerful stuff, and it felt like crap at times, but I did it. Then finally, April 16th and 17th, Mercury gets to 29 degrees of Pisces, which is that biggest completion of the whole zodiac. It's also where the Chiron energy had been hanging out, where that Chiron story felt never ending. Neptune provides a new energy of love, understanding, completion to it all. And I feel like he takes his hand and he puts it on his heart. And there's just this sense of graduation. We did it. We went through a lot, and it was in my mind. I overthought things. I worried about things. I didn't know what to do about something. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to say. And by the middle of April, April 17th, the story's over. Mercury's done with the story. He completed it. He got it. He learned from it. He understands what had to happen. He understands the healing and the lessons. He's done. And then he moves into Aries later on April 18th. And by now he's walked across the bridge away from Key West, and he starts to run in Aries. And he's like running. He's not running away from, he's running towards his next project, his next adventure. And he is energized because he just feels looser and lighter. And he's like, I went through a lot that I couldn't always understand because Mercury and Pisces, it's hard to understand things. And then he gets into Aries and he takes off sprinting. And that's when this whole next story unfolds in a really lovely way, because in Aries he moves fast. Probably too fast, really, but there we go. So that, my friends, is the Mercury and Pisces journey, and we'll be talking about that over the next few months. And two more quick things to share with you. Venus in Capricorn conjunct Saturn at 16 degrees, February 17th, 18th. And this can be a reality check with money, finances, something that you get a no. There can be a no because Saturn says no. It can be something that you need to take responsibility for. The best use of this is a new commitment. You make a new commitment based on a new sense of responsibility, a new sense of what you value. It's a new commitment. An old commitment might expire, something might be done, and then you're meant to reassess a new commitment. However, Venus then moves forward and makes a conjunction to Pluto at 22 degrees on the 23rd. And I'll talk about that as we get into that week. But that's usually a time of structuring money, looking at investments, looking at what you powerfully believe in yourself. It's also a checking in point for the story time we did last year of Venus and Scorpio. Okay, so I'll be back to talk about more of that. Otherwise, I will see you back here soon. And for those of you who asked, on Monday, I did not do a show. There was no podcast on Monday the 11th because I had nothing to give. And I'm a full-time mom of a toddler, and normally I'm great. And I just had one of these days where I'm like, I have nothing to give today. And I just had to trust that and not force it, just allow it to be. And I thought it was funny because that's, Mercury just went into Pisces where we don't have words. So that's why there was no podcast on Monday. Thanks for you who reached out to make sure I was okay. That was so kind of you. I just needed a day, how we need those at times. So my plan is definitely to be back here next Monday, and I look forward to connecting with you then. So take good care, friends, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.